Naseem here. Now, after using the iPhone 14 Pro Max for about a month now, the one thing that kept coming to my mind after using it on a day-to-day basis was this one simple statement that I think explains the 14 Pro Max pretty perfectly. And that statement is, I think that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is still the best phone that you can get in 2022. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max meets every need a person can have when it comes to a high quality smartphone. It has a very premium display that not only has a high refresh rate, but also great resolution. It has the new A16 Bionic chip that will give you all the power that you need no matter the usage. It has an amazingly durable build quality that can withstand rough conditions. And it has new features that separates itself from the previous models. And even though I think that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is the best phone even after a month of use, I still wanted to share my experience with you guys to help you decide whether or not it's worth it for you. Now, the software on the 14 Pro Max was as smooth as ever. I rarely got any lags, but whenever my phone would heat up, that's where I would experience slowness of the device. And when it wasn't hot, the 14 Pro Max still maintained that consistency, and that's why it was an enjoyable device. I also really loved how it was able to handle power heavy apps. Whenever I was playing a game, it ran really well and was still able to run really smooth and get the job done. iOS 16 was definitely the most enjoyable part of the 14 Pro Max's experience for me. Every other day I found myself changing my wallpapers because of how easy it was. And my favorite thing that I liked was the lock screen. Like right here, you can see that whenever I put on a new wallpaper, I can edit it and add more widgets to give the lock screen more depth. I also really liked how Apple integrated the pill notch within the software. I would usually use it whenever I was playing music. I also really liked that whenever I played music, it would show off the art cover along with the wave frequencies. But after a while, I got used to it, and even though most people call it a useless feature, I think that it adds to the OS as a whole because there are times where I need that extra info whenever I'm doing something on my phone. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max would constantly overheat, and it was getting me really angry because it happened most of the time. Whenever I was outside, it will overheat. Whenever I was using my phone while it charged, it will overheat. Whenever I was FaceTiming my friends, it will overheat. And there were even times where I was at work and it was just chilling in my pocket and the phone would get extremely hot and become laggy. And I don't know if it's because of the materials of the device or whether it's the battery or if it's iOS 16 putting a huge strain on it. But what I will say is that this thing is unusable without a case, and Apple needs to fix this problem. And speaking of cases, I would like to thank Pitaka for this beautiful new case that is available for the iPhone 14 series. It's MagSafe compatible, wireless charging friendly, and also offers premium protection for extreme drops, while also looking amazing in the process. Now, the link will be down in the description and comment section, so make sure you grab a Pitaka case if you want to protect your phone in style. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a 4300 mAh battery that I will say held up really well when compared to other smartphones in the market. I would have about 8 to 10 hours of on-screen time, which was pretty heavy usage since I also shoot videos. And on days where I would shoot videos, I would end my day with about 20% battery left, which was really good since recording takes up most of my day. And on days where I would use my 14 Pro Max like a regular phone, I would end my day with about 35% battery left, which was a good enough difference for me. The charging was something that I did have a problem with. It was a little bit worse than the 14 Pro. Like whenever I would charge it up during the day, it would take forever to get to 100%, and it made everything harder, especially since I use other phones that have faster charging. Another thing that I would say sucked was the wireless charging speeds when compared to my other phones. The 14 Pro Max would take longer for me to connect it because it had a really big camera bump. There were many times where I had to position it at a weird angle and the speeds were much slower. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR display that I must say felt exactly the same as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. My favorite thing that I loved about the screen was that it had a 120Hz refresh rate, so that added to the overall smoothness when I scroll through the OS. Now, when it comes to size, it's all preference, but I would definitely say that the 14 Pro Max isn't for everybody. It can get really hard to reach the top of the screen, and it starts hurting my pinky after a while of holding it. So when it comes to the 14 Pro Max, you have to be someone who really loves the screen size over comfort. I also really like the responsiveness of the 14 Pro Max. Like whenever I would scroll through the OS, play games, and even customize my home screen, I never got any lags, and the screen overall kept up that great consistency. The screen was also much brighter than last year. Apple has finally decided to bump up the display to over 2000 nits, so if you're outside and decide to turn the brightness up, you'll see everything very clearly. And now the last aspect of the display that I really liked was how great it looked whenever I was watching movies, playing games, and scrolling through the OS. Like right here, you can see me watching a video on it, and you can just see how colorful and vibrant the display is, and I really enjoy how quality the resolution was. And to give you guys an example of how good the screen is, I'm going to watch a video and play a game. Now, when comparing the speakers to the 14 Pro, I would say that they were better in terms of volume. The bass was still a little weak, but again, that's a common problem within iPhones. And besides the bass not being that great, I will still say that the overall sound quality was really good. Music sounded nice, videos were loud and clear, and the speakers overall enhanced my viewing experience and really made me enjoy the 14 Pro Max. And to give you guys an idea of how the speakers sound, I'm going to play a video so that you could just see how loud they are.
Here's the switch. It's Luka against Josh Richardson. Left side of the floor. Luka's three. It's a ring. Luka magic on a Saturday night.
Now, if I'm being honest, the cameras on the iPhone 14 Pro Max were pretty much the same as the 13 Pro Max, but that's not a bad thing at all. The pictures always came out very colorful, vibrant, very sharp, and didn't give me any shutter lag, which made the camera even more practical when compared to other phones in the market. And when we look at the daytime outside photos, I would say that these were easily the best in the game. I would say that these were top 2 because they are tied with the 7 Pro. I liked how my skin looked when taking selfies. I liked how the colors were very accurate, and I really liked how nice the skies looked when taking long range photos. And again, when looking at all of these photos back to back, I liked how consistent they were. Like every photo was consistently good, and that means a lot because not a lot of other phones are like that. Now, when we look at the daytime inside photos, I would say that these were just as consistent as the outside pictures. Even when the lighting wasn't as good, I was still able to get really good photos, which really says a lot about the development of iPhone cameras. My skin looked really nice without the graininess. Different objects still maintain that signature sharpness, and the pictures came off overall very natural while adjusting to the environment. And when it came to video quality, the 14 Pro Max had one of the best to offer. The 14 Pro Max had the best to offer. And to give you guys an example, here's some videos that I took on it. And there it is, you guys, my review on the iPhone 14 Pro Max after 1 month of use. Now, let me know down in the comments, would you guys get the iPhone 14 Pro Max or the Pixel 7 Pro? Let me know. And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it'll be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.